In this video, we will discuss why we need a flash and a diffuser for macro photography. Let me start with the flash, the light part. Now, photography is all about light. To be precise, reflected light. What we see, as also the camera sensor, is light reflected off the subject, whatever we are looking at. For example, assume you walk out into nature at night and the same place in the daytime. In the daytime, you will see colors, you will see detail. At night, despite having some light from stars and maybe the moon, you will mostly see black or dark, and you will not see any detail because there's not adequate light to reflect off the subjects which we can perceive and see. The same applies to the camera sensor. Let me give you another example, which is a very common one. Now, there's a insect called a drainfly, which we'll generally see in bathrooms and kitchens. It's just a tiny black spot. It appears black till you actually use adequate light and a diffuser and take a photograph, and then you see the real colors. It's actually gold, and the details are exquisite. I guess that clarifies why we need the flash. We need to provide adequate amount of light so that the reflected light from the subject gives us accurate colors and details of the subject. Now, just like in the last video I had explained, do not let direct sunlight fall onto compound eyes or shiny insects because that will simply blow away the colors and give you harsh, ugly artifacts. The same applies to a bare flash. If you use a bare flash, you will get a very similar kind of effect, which is not very pleasing. You will get harsh shadows, and you will get specular highlights. Areas will have no detail, and so on, which is where the diffuser comes in. A diffuser will take all the light from the flash and diffuse it to create a soft light effect, which in turn will provide even lighting across your subject and give you a far more pleasing result. Now that we have a better understanding of why we need a flash and a diffuser for macro photography, let's talk more about the flash and the diffuser one should attempt or try to use. For the flash, I would recommend using any Olympus compatible flash which has a Li-ion battery. I personally use a Godox V1 which does the job for me. It also has a modeling light. So there's a small light right on the flash head which you can turn on and use in case the camera is not able to focus properly and provide some additional light using the modeling light. The Li-ion battery actually lasts for maybe about a couple of thousand shots, far more than your camera battery. So that's my choice. As far as diffusers are concerned, we have two excellent made in India diffusers available to us. One is called the Beetle Pro and the other is called the Radiant. I will first describe the Radiant diffuser. That's a very compact, very cute looking diffuser that almost looks like an extension of your camera and flash. It's very small, very easy to assemble and carry around, and does the job. So that's a very good choice for starters. It's got color coded buttons so you know which part to put in where and so on. The next is the Beetle Pro. This is the only commercial diffuser in the world that comes with a latch strap mechanism which allows you to vary the angle of the top side of the diffuser so you have more control over light. Now there are many advantages to this and I'll discuss those later. There are a few differences between the Radiant and the Beetle Pro besides the latch strap mechanism in the Beetle Pro. The inside of the diffuser, the Radiant has a plain plastic white inside, so it does not really diffuse a whole lot of light, and it will give you a decent result on the diffusion part. The Beetle Pro, on the other hand, has a matte silver inside, which bounces light a lot more and gives you a far more pleasing diffused soft light. Now, the other thing is the Beetle Pro actually is a full stop brighter than the Radiant. While it might not be a major concern for most, but that difference is there. So the Beetle will allow you to shoot at lower flash power compared to the Radiant, which will also allow you to focus stack or bracket using lower powered flash. In general, at least on the V1 or similar, using a flash power of 1/16th will allow you to stack. Anything over that, you might experience delays, which is not really desirable if you're stacking or bracketing. Besides that, both the Radiant and the Beetle Pro come with a LED option. It's an LED light that is built into the diffuser panel, which you can switch on and off from the outside. This allows you to focus in low light areas, maybe even use it for making short videos. For videos, you need to keep in mind that the Beetle Pro does offer a full stop more of light from the diffuser. Both the diffusers come with a bottom reflector, which is very useful for providing some light from under the lens. This is actually really required if the subject is in between leaves or under a leaf. You need to provide more light from the reflector, unless you want to turn the camera upside down, which is generally not very practical. The other thing that both diffusers have is a large size diffuser, which is generally used for photographing snakes and frogs and larger objects. The Beetle Pro claims to have the brightest internal LED in the diffuser, given the same kind of power bank, and they use exactly the same power bank. Both the Radiant and the Beetle Pro use the exact same power bank. The Beetle Pro also offers a dimmer switch, which allows you to dim or increase the brightness of the LED depending on the scenario you want, which is not present in the Radiant. So the Beetle Pro also has a Raynox holder on one side of the diffuser in case you have a Raynox. You can remove it, plug it in there when you're not using it. Let's now talk about the availability, customization, and pricing. The Beetle Pro is more expensive than the Radiant, but it also offers a whole lot more in terms of better diffusion and features. At the same time, the Radiant is, it's like, as I mentioned earlier, it just fits so perfectly. You can just carry it around anywhere. Of course, it does not offer all the advantages of the Beetle Pro, but personally, I have both and use both depending on the scenario. And as far as customizations are concerned, the Radiant offers customization if you need any, depending on, let us say, a specific camera or lens, which is not very common. In my case, I got one made for my OM1 90mm plus MC20, which is slightly longer than the normal 90mm one. Availability is generally within a week types if you order. I'll put the links in the description as well as the pricing that you can see right here. The Beetle Pro has an offer going till the end of April, and these prices are valid only till end of April. Now that we are done with the flash and the diffuser part, there's one last clarification and tip. Most people think increasing the ISO is equivalent to increasing the exposure in post. While it might be equivalent, it is not the same. Pushing up the ISO in camera will generally yield far better results than increasing exposure in post. Also keep in mind, like I mentioned in the last video, you can definitely bump up the ISO, but it cannot manufacture details. It can only add, let us say, exposure or gain to what the sensor sees. A lot of times, what happens is when we are out in the open, we can't really see clearly on the LCD. So, there's no issue pushing up the ISO a bit as long as you have adequate light and proper diffused light. You will get all the details, and the ISO will only add gain to it so you can actually see it in the outdoor sun. That's it for now. Have fun till the next one.